Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. A miserable old day out there today. Quite a few people suggested that my epidendrum went out in the garden. It went out in the garden, got absolutely soaking wet, got absolutely soaking wet again, and then the wind blew it over and it all fell out the pot. So it's staying in here. What else? I was going to say I'm supposed to be painting the shed and the fence, but I can't get out there. Apparently it's going to be nice over the weekend, so hopefully I'll get the rest of the coats on the shed, and I am going to actually put some new felt on the roof. It's going to spoil the whole look if the roof isn't done as well, so we'll sort that out. But we need the weather to do that, unfortunately. So that's that. And all I've got for you today is some new blooms opening, and they're not first timers, they're just opening. So we've got this one first. This is Prosetia radiata. These are just opening now. They're not fully open. The hood hasn't a lip as it is, but I call it a hood when it's upside down. Hasn't quite lifted yet, but there's two spikes on here, and I must admit I was expecting this one to open first because it's the bigger one. Anyway, so I'll see how close I can get, because you don't really buy these for the look of the blooms, you buy them for the fragrance, or you get them for the fragrance. It's one of the strongest fragrances in the orchid world, really. Absolutely can fill a room, fill a hall, I should think. Anyway, that's that one. And then over here the zygos opened, and this is the one with the, I'll call them pastel colours because I don't want to be rude, but the one with not very bright colours. This was one, I bought this, the lesser of all the evils basically. I'd done a trip to Burnham's, and I don't like leaving Burnham's without buying anything, you know. I mean, it's always a friendly place towards me and everything. I always have a nice time there. I always feel like to support the nursery you buy something, and I couldn't see anything I fancied, and in the end I came away with this. Basically because I got fed up with just looking at stuff that I wasn't really sure I wanted, and I wasn't really sure I wanted this, but this is what I came away with anyway. This plant is picking up basically. It's been in a sorry state for some time, but it's got this new growth which has pushed up the spike. There's another new growth coming here, so hopefully it's going to pick up now. But yeah, these are unusual, not your normal zygo colours or patterns. I've got a feeling it might be an intergeneric hybrid, Zygonesia or something, but whatever it is, it's in bloom. This cluster's looking good over here. The spidery nonsense is looking extra good from in the lounge, but when you come out here, blooms are actually going over now, and they go darker. You can see I mean, when the blooms are relatively recently opened, you've got nice purple in the lip, and then it starts to go shades of brown as they start to go. So that's not going to be in bloom too much longer, but we've got the Shari baby coming on behind, and I hate to think how many blooms this is going to have on this spike. If you start down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 blooms on that branch. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 branches, and then the odd little ones on the end. That's going to be a lot of blooms. They're not that attractive, but there's certainly a lot of them. I'm going to have to get a stake on that too, because as the buds are starting to swell, they're putting weight onto the spike, it's pulling it over. It would arch if I let it, but then wherever it is, it will be in the way, so I'm going to have to get that staked up before the buds get much bigger, and the other one as well. There's 2 spikes there. So yeah, that's all that's going on today. And I don't know what else I'm going to film this week because there really isn't much going on. I've got to the point now where most of my urgent repots are done. Those opening buds that we've just looked at are the only ones there are for a while now. And yeah, there's just not much going on. But soon, we have a look over here at the Deesas. There's quite a few of the Deesa blooms are going over now. And if you take this pot down here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes on there, and all of the blooms are finished. Now with Deesas you are actually supposed to take the blooms off, you know, the dead blooms, especially if they look as though they might have pollinated. But let the stems die back. You're supposed to let the stems die back. But I've also noticed that some of the plants are starting to die back. Well, that's natural. After blooming, that plant dies. But by then it should have started to put up some new plants at the base. I don't know whether I can do this without lifting them out. If you take this bloom here that's going over, follow the stem down, it goes down to this little pot here. And if you look at that little pot, the plant that the bloom is on, this one, is starting to die back, and the one next to it. But if you look at the base, that's where all the new little plants are coming from. So that's the sort of natural cycle, is, you know, and quite a few of the blooms are going now, so it will soon be time to repot some of these. And the idea is I need to find out what size a litre pot is. I'm pretty confident that these big pots are litre pots, because that's what the guy said. He said the smaller pots, just pot them up into litre pots, pot them on into litre pots. Don't take all the old media off. You know, so that little one we've just looked at is not far off being ready. And then, you know, there's at least 4 new growths coming up. Those will be hopefully next year's blooms. And where there's only 1 this year in that pot, hopefully there'll be 3 or 4 next year. And as I say, like, you know, so we'll be looking at these in the near future, I think. The smaller pots to be potted on. I think when I pot them on, I might try and get some of the moss off the top, because it's outgrowing the plants, if you know what I mean. So we might try and remove some of the moss, see how it goes. But once, you know, I need to get an individual pot out in my tray where I can look at it closely and work out what each pot is going to have done. But I think we'll be getting on to some of these soon. The guy said, get them split up and potted up, whatever you're going to do with them, before winter sets in, because, you know, they effectively virtually stop growing through the winter. So the earlier you get them done, the more time they've got to establish in their new media and everything prior to going into the winter. I mean, there's some of them, these haven't long been open. This was the only one I came home with that had a bud on it. Or was it this one? One of these two anyway. But, you know, there's some not showing any signs of going over yet, and yet others are. So we'll be getting at those in the not too distant future, or some of them. That will be a staggered thing, because obviously some of them, you know, the blooms are finishing now, whereas others are not even showing signs yet, so they could be out another 2 or 3 weeks yet before they start to go. So we'll see how it goes with those. And some of the mini Phalaenopsis are not long for being repotted as well. They won't all come at once. I mean, if you take this one here, all the spikes here are still looking good. This one up here, all the spikes are still looking good, and there's still buds to come. So those two are a long way from repotting. But over here, This one here, this spike has already dropped its blooms and is starting to die back. The blooms on the top of this spike are going. This is the only, this branch here is the only bit that's lasting. And I may well do a repot on that one anyway. It's coming into growth. It's got, this would be a good time to do it. I'd probably cut this spike off and leave the branch just to keep the colour, and this little branch here. Take that spike right off despite that little branch, not worth keeping, and give the plant a bit of a rest. As I say, it's coming into growth, so that could get repotted soon as well. And everything that I do with the 8 mini phals that I bought from Double H will be filmed, because they've got their own playlist, so we will keep our eye on those, and follow their progress and everything. So they're different type of orchids for me, really. I don't normally buy Phalaenopsis. So anyway, that's it for today. It's getting up towards tea time now. I've got a funeral next week. Wonderful. It's the husband of a cousin that I don't see very often, and I don't know her husband very well at all. So it's not somebody I know, if I walk past it, well, I'm not likely to now, am I? If I was to see the person, I wouldn't recognise them. I really don't know them at all. But, it'll be a bit of a gathering. I get to see my sister and brother-in-law and have a good natter with those. And then there's a sort of place to go afterwards, and I presume there'll be something to eat, sort of thing. So, and it's a 1 o'clock service, so it's an afternoon do. So, be driving back in all the Bournemouth traffic. It's at the Bournemouth crematorium, so it's not that easy a place to get to. It's in a side road, sort of in the middle of housing areas. It's a strange place, but anyway, got to be done. Family thing and all that. So, right. So I've got to think about getting something to eat now. Coming up to tea time. We have salmon for tea tonight. Staying on the fish thing. I had haddock last night. I can't remember that. Can't remember 3 nights ago. But I have fish most nights for my main meal. Different sorts. I've got salmon. I've got sea bass. I've got baza fillets. I've got breaded fish as well for, something a bit different, breaded cod. So a lot of fish in the diet now, and no potatoes, and green veg, either peas or green beans, something like that. So some fish and some veg without the potatoes is the diet's working pretty good. It's working pretty good. Tell you how good. My painting clothes that I've got, pair of trousers and a top that I don't mind getting paint on because I've already got paint on it. When I was out at the weekend with Hannah, and she was doing some pruning while I was putting a bit of paint on the shed, I went upstairs to change to put my painting clothes on, and I put the trousers on and did the button up. That's the first time ever that I've been able to do the button up on the trousers. I've always had to have a belt and do my zip halfway and have a top that pulls down over the front to hide the fact that my trousers aren't done up properly. So the diet's working. We're dropping the weight slowly but surely. So that's good. I've still got the goal of getting into that expensive shirt that Hannah bought me that I can't do up down the front properly. When we can get into that, I'll be happy. So. I don't know whether I said I had the chat with the doctor on the phone earlier this week, just to get the statins taken off my record, basically. So they're off the prescription now, and the reason for me not taking them is on my record as patient actually did research, etc., and decided that they weren't necessary based on the results of the blood tests. So it's sort of on my record that I'm not a stubborn old goat who doesn't do as he's told. I stopped taking them for a very sensible reason. So they're gone, so that just leaves the other two, which I do see a reason for those, so don't mind taking those. So there we go. That's what's sort of coming up, and it's not a lot, and it's just that time of year. That's how it is. And I've got no more. I won't be going to Burnham's again this year, I doubt. Got no reasons to. There's no other shows I'll be going to, no big shows. I mean, the Bournemouth Orchid Society show is the next actual show, and that's not till the end of September. So it's a while yet. So that's what's going on. Not a lot. Not a lot. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.